Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Army hearties and shiver me timbers. Welcome to the south of France, to the Mediterranean port of Sète, where we are going to be visiting Fortant and meeting my good friend Laurent Sauvage to talk about all things rosé. The weekend is upon us, and nothing says weekend like a good glass of rosé. Most of us are promised a little sunshine, and if not, the rosé will bring the sunshine to us. So once again, before we start, for those of you who haven't been with us before, just a little running order for you. The presentation discussion with Laurent is going to take about half an hour. During that time, he's going to take us through the different regions of the rosé making, some winemaking notes, and taste through the wines for us. At the bottom, you will see there is a question and answer box, and please feel free to chime in with your questions. I'll probably leave them to the end, if you don't mind, to pick up any of those questions, unless I see something that needs answering immediately. So please feel free to put your questions in. And if we don't have time to answer all of your questions during the presentation, we will put up an email address at the end where you can email your questions, and Laurent and myself will come back to you with answers to anything you don't get answered to today. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Laurent Sauvage. And Laurent is a director of winemaking for the Boisset family in the south of France, head winemaker at Fortant, and has been with us for 20 years. So, hello, Laurent. Good evening, good night almost to you, very late there in the south of France.
Exactly. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Neil.
Would you like to kick off with just giving us a little bit of your story, Laurent, where you come from, how you got into the wine business, and what it is you actually do?
Sure, with pleasure. So I'm Laurent Sauvage. I grew up in a French island called Réunion Island. It's in the Indian Ocean. And why I say that, it's because in this island, you have a big mix of culture, big mix of spices, fruits, tropical fruits, and everything is mixed into the food. And for me, winemaking is like cooking. You have to select your ingredients, you have to put them into the right order, you have to use the temperature. So at the end, when I decided finally to become a winemaker, I thought to myself that it was a good way to revisit my childhood. So I'm very happy to do this job because it's great. Everything is every day and every year is different. And my childhood with all this environment helped me really on an everyday basis to select the best spices, aromas, to try to craft unique wines.
Now, I believe as a young winemaker, although you've been making wines now in the south of France for 20 years, you've traveled extensively to other parts of the world to make wine?
Yes, exactly. That's very important for me, is really to keep going in the experience of winemaking. So every 2 years, I try to make a travel to other parts of the world to meet some winemakers and exchange with them about techniques. Because even if we do the same job, of course, we do not have the same climate, the same soils, and we do not have the same way to approach, even if you take one varietal, for example, Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, in the different regions of the world, they don't have the same approach to make wine and to express the Pinot Noir or the Chardonnay. So it's very interesting to exchange with those people to try to make the best, the best expression of Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, depending, of course, our climate, our terroir.
Terrific. And a couple of favorite places where you've made wine?
Yes, New Zealand was great for Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir because they do have some small parcels of Pinot Noir, very, very, very refined. Australia was very interesting for Chardonnay because they have plenty of broad selection of different type of Chardonnay. Chile for the reds, they are very, very good to have I mean, the right expression of different type of reds. And of course, Europe, Germany for all the whites, they are very, very good. And of course, other regions in France as well. It's great to discover Burgundy, for example, of course, and Bordeaux for the reds as well. So the idea is really to explore those regions with the winemakers and exchange with them. It's always a pleasure.
But finally, you settled in the south of France, in the Languedoc area particularly. What is it about the Languedoc that you love so much, and what is it so exciting for you as a winemaker?
First, Languedoc is the biggest vineyard in the world in terms of appellations. So it's huge. You have 58 varietals, so that's very huge. You can make almost every type of wine there. And we have the chance in Languedoc to have the Mediterranean climate, which is perfect to make wine. And we have the different type of soils. In terms of age of soils, we have the 4 geological eras. So from young soils to very old soils. And we have altitude and we have wind. So at the end, in Languedoc, you can make almost every type of wine. So it's a great playground, I would say.
Lisa, could you just quickly show us a general map of France for those people who may not know exactly where we're talking about? There we are. So, Laurent, if you can just quickly tell us where.
Sure. We are in the south of France. In the south of France, you have on the west coast, not the west coast, south. You have the Languedoc Roussillon, which is around the town of Montpellier, Carcassonne, Narbonne, Béziers. And then on the east, which we call the Riviera, it's really the Provence appellation. So this is really where we make wine.
Now, as I think everybody who's watching this this cast will know, Laurent, the south of France is really synonymous with rosé wines, and we are seeing rosés coming from lots of different areas, but really the world benchmark for rosé is the south of France, obviously Côte de Provence, but also some of the Languedoc vineyards as well, and Tavel. What is it about the south of France that lends itself to these rosé wines, and why has rosé become so popular here?
Well, first, we've been making rosé for ages there. I mean, it's really part of the culture. And why that? I think it's because we have the natural environment to make great rosé. First, we have the right grapes, Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault, for the most part of them. They are great to make rosé. Then we have the climate, Mediterranean climate, which is perfect to make wine in general, but also rosé. We have the right soil as well, because we have a lot of limestone all along the south, which is great to have some balance in the wine and good acids, which is very important for rosé, especially for the hint, for the tint. And of course, we have now the know-how for many years, and for the past, I would say 15 years, we have added the technology, because the rosé today is, of course, you need all these elements I told you, but also some technology, because the trend with rosé right now is really to have this very pale and delicate color, like up in this one, for example. We will taste just after. And to get that color, we really need to be very, very cautious during the first part of the process, because as you may know, the color in the grape are in the skin. So if you want to have very, very little, very delicate color, you need to be very quick from the vineyard to the cellar, and then you have to press very gently to have the less skin contact as possible. So
thank you, Laurent. That leads me naturally into the next question, which is about how the rosés are actually made, because I know perhaps you could tell us the difference between the winemaking process you were talking about there and about a saignée, or about blending red and white wines, and what is your preferred method and why, and what do those results give you?
Alors, first of all, a rosé is not a blend of white and red. That doesn't work, really. When you want to make a rosé, you have to start in the vineyard because, of course, if you take a Grenache, for example, you have designed in the vineyard to make a good red, for example, a Châteauneuf du Pape. I mean, if you press that, it's going to be very dark and very heavy. So you don't want that to make rosé. So you start in the vineyard to have something very balanced, to have some the berries needs to be quite big to have some juice in it, because what you need when you make rosé is some juice. And then when you press, you have two ways of doing it. I would say three ways. The historical way was very simple. You pick the grape, you put them into a tank, you wait for a night, and then you take the juice out. So during the night, you have this skin contact. So you get the flavor, you get the color, and that's the saigné method. That's what they used to do in Tavel for many years, and they still do that in Tavel, and that's the traditional way. The rosé you have by doing that is a gastronomic rosé, because you have more color, you have more flavor, but you have more structure as well. So if you want to have something light, for, before dinner and so on, I would not go for this one. But to pair with food, it's a great wine. It's a great type of rosé. So the second way would be direct pressing. So you pick the grape, you put them into the press, and you press the grapes, and then you take the juice, and then you will ferment the juice. So the skin contact is very, very slow, very limited, but you can monitor the timing. So that's why there is two ways. You can do a bit of skin contact for a few hours, like let's say 4 hours, just to get a bit of flavor, texture, and whatever. Or you can decide to do no skin contact at all. So you just to take the berries and the grapes into the press, and you direct pressing, and you take the juice out. And you can even do some separation, saying, for example, you will take only the free-run juice to go into a tank, and then when the press starts to press, you will go into another tank. So different type of course, of techniques to make rosé. The idea is to really monitor your skin contact and what you want in terms of level of color, level of flavor, level of texture, and length.
Terrific, great stuff. Well, we can talk a little bit more about these themes as we go through the tasting. So I'm afraid I don't have any samples with me down here, locked down here in Rockville, Maryland. So I'm going to be living this tasting vicariously through yourself. But I am getting thirsty, and I think our viewers are too. So perhaps,
yeah, sorry.
That's okay. No, please. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the first wine.
Yeah.
Lisa, perhaps you could throw up a map and tell us a little bit about where the wine comes from.
The first one is the Grenache Rosé, 100% from the Grenache grape. It's the Fortant Cost Select Grenache Rosé 2019.
Can we have a map, Lisa, please?
Yeah, a few words about the Fortant winery. We are based in Sète, which is along the Mediterranean coast, of course. We've been making wine for 30 years. I mean, we are specialized in the wines from the south of France, Languedoc and Provence.
Yeah, I can see on the wall behind you, Laurent, that 100-year anniversary in 2020. So
yeah, exactly.
Just one or two words about the Scali family and how Fortant came to exist.
Yeah, exactly. The Scali family settled in Algeria in 1920. That's why this is the first date for very important date for us. And the Scali family, they made wine in Algeria for many years, and then they settled in Sète. That was in the late 60s, I would say, and then they started to make wine in the south of France. So that's why, I mean, for us, it's important to have this heritage, because we started as a winery to make wine in 1920, but we are based in Sète since, I mean, 1970. Okay.
Very good.
And Sète is really by the sea. So as you saw in the pictures, we have of course, it's a harbor. So you have some fishermen, and you have a beautiful lighthouse. And the picture on the right is the cellar and the Chez Collection. This is where we make the wine. Very nice building, 1877. One of the really most beautiful winery in the south.
Yep, and famous for their tall ships as well in the harbour. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why, I mean, we have the Marinière today, because it's really part of the heritage.
A couple of buccaneers. There we are. So we
exactly. So the Grenache Rosé, as you can see, very light color. So almost no skin contact on this one. Direct pressing. It's a parcel selection we've made in the east part of Languedoc and central part of Languedoc, 100% Grenache. And after the direct pressing, of course, we do a natural settling for 48 hours, and then we take the clear juice and we start the fermentation at low temperature around 15 degrees. That allows us to have some finesse and some good fruit, and to keep the balance right. And then when the fermentation is finished, we just let the wine settle. Then, of course, we take the clear juice, and then we will do a bit of lees stirring for 2 months, just for the wine to get a bit of texture.
Wonderful.
This is a light, very easy to drink rosé. It's perfect at the beach, on the terrace. Hopefully soon we will be able to do that. It's becoming crazy to do that, you know, always alone.
It's perfect to be drunk alone, locked away in an apartment on your own, among other things. Very good. So if I can just tell our friends at large, the Fortant Coastal Grenache IGP is a terrifically well-priced wine, great value for everyday, easy, pleasurable drinking, because we sell it for somewhere between $10 and $11 a bottle. So really terrific.
Nice bouquet with some little red fruits, a bit of thyme as well. It's typically from the Grenache.
Great.
Mm.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Laurent.
Sorry. The mouth, it's very fresh, and with some good fruit, good acids, and good length, good balance. So it's very easy to drink. It's really a tutti frutti rosé.
Great. Tell us a little bit about the wine, which is Digression by Secret Indulgence. It's a Vin de France Rosé.
Maybe Lisa, if you can put the wines for them to see, because I'm not sure they see it right. This is Digression. It's a specific a project. Yes, this is the second from your left. It's a blend, actually. It's a blend of Grenache and Syrah. The appellation is Vin de France, but it's a parcel selection within the IGP category. The Vin de France category is a growing category and very interesting, because you can choose and you can pick the grapes wherever you want. So it gives you a bit more flexibility than the proper IGP.
So can you just throw up a map there, Lisa, and Laurent can tell us a little bit the different areas where the Grenache and Syrah is coming from for this for the Digression. I believe the flamingo on the bottle is representative of the birds you can find in and around the Côte de Thau, in the marina and around Sète itself.
really close to Sète, and all along the coast, you have some some lakes, and you can see some flamingo all along the coast actually. So it's not only in Sète but all along the coast. So yes, this is the map showing the different sub-region in terms of IGP. So the digression is a parcel selection of Grenache coming from the Gard area. So the Gard is on the east, yes. And Syrah is coming from the Hérault part, around the town of Béziers, a bit more west. Lisa, Béziers, yes, perfect. So compared to the Coast Select Grenache, you have some Syrah in the blend, and the Syrah bring a bit of texture and some aromatics as well. So it's a kind of bit more complex wine because of the blend, of course. Kind of the same work on the color, very, very limited skin contact. The idea is really to have this beautiful rose petal color. So in the nose, you have in the bouquet, you can get a bit of a strawberry coming from the Syrah component, apart from the little red fruits and a bit of thyme coming from the Grenache. And in the mouth, you have the texture of the Syrah, which is very nice, round, and good length. Again, in all those rosé, you have no residual sugar. That's very important for us because we want to keep the wine very food friendly and very balanced. That's very important for us.
So before we move on to the next wine, Laurent, we've got a question from our good friend Dan, which you'd like to discuss, which is about vintage. So, you know, there's sadly, I want to say, there's a conception that rosés tend to be drunk very young and have to be drunk very young. Of course, we're tasting 2019s today because they're our latest vintage releases. But what's your take on how long you can keep a rosé before you drink it? How important is vintage, and you know, what is the aging potential, and how do those wines change over time?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because most of the time people, they think that if the rosé has 1 year, it's not good anymore. No, it's really not. It's really not the truth. And actually, I would say that it's even better with a bit of aging in the bottle, because of course, with the natural evolution in the bottle, you have a bit more aromatics, you have a bit more complexity, and you have some texture. So for me, the best time to drink a rosé would be in, 1 year later, to get that the full potential of the wine. Of course, when it's young, it's very aromatic, it's very young, and so on. But in the mouth, for example, it's a bit short most of the time. If you wait a few months, it's going to be much nicer. And in terms of aging, of course, it will depend of the terroir, and of course, it will depend of the yield as well. For example, the Grenache, this would be 2 years. I would not go that much. More than 2 years. Digression, you could go up to 3 years, because you have some Syrah, and Syrah is a good component for aging. And then we will, for the two others, you can go up to 3 to 4 years, no problem.
I couldn't agree with you more. I much prefer drinking a rosé with a year of bottle aging on it than necessarily when it comes out fresh from the tank, fresh off the boat. When I often feel it's almost more like drinking a white wine when it's that young, because the acidity is so fresh. And they really round and flesh out with a year of bottle age. I think you get more of that plush peachiness in the rosé when you've left it for a year.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Let's take a look at
Marinière. So this is really about the south. Voilà, Marinière, Maison Fortant. Appellation is Languedoc Rosé. So Lisa, if you can put the map, we can explain. Thank you. So this is the map of the Languedoc with all the different appellations of Languedoc, the regional appellations and the communal appellations. Here it's a Languedoc Rosé. That means that it can come from all those different appellations. The one we've selected is a parcel selection of Grenache, Syrah, and Cinsault as well. We did those parcel selection in the Pézenas area. Pézenas is really central of Languedoc. Yes, perfect. We have also a Syrah coming from Minervois, from the west part of Languedoc, Minervois in orange. Around, yeah, right, yeah, perfect. And the Cinsault is from the Gare area. That would be more around Nîmes, the town of Nîmes. Can you show us the picture, please, Lisa, just to show to the people, I mean, the type of landscape we can have for the Languedoc wines. We have, of course, nice climate, plenty of sun, and we have, of course, the Mediterranean Sea, which is very, very close to the vineyard, and we have the chance to have this Mediterranean Sea because it brings some sea breeze at night, bringing a bit of saltiness to the wine, which is great for white and rosé. So in terms of tasting, this Languedoc is very about the fruit, the red fruit, but also the white fruit. You have a bit of white peach. And you have some thyme as well, coming from the Grenache again, but this Grenache is a bit more concentrated compared to the Cos Select. And in the mouth, of course, you go a bit higher in terms of complexity, in terms of structure, in terms of length. The yields here, they are lower. So as soon as you have more less yield, of course, you have more concentration in the fruit. So you get some more length, more complexity, more everything.
In winemaking terms, those first three wines you made, Laurent, are they pretty much all made in that same way, that same technique?
Yes, limited skin contact. The only difference would be the two first quite low temperature in terms of fermentation, like 15 degrees. Here, we would be at 18 to 20 because we want to have a bit more the terroir expression. If you want to have the terroir expression, you don't want to have those, aromas coming from the fermentation. So you would go for a higher temperature fermentation to have less what we call ester, which are typical aromas from the fermentation.
That's that sort of bonbon anglais, that sort of English
exactly. Banana,
yeah. Banana
like
type. Okay, very good, terrific, wonderful. So those are, you know, the let's say the sort of peripheral rosés. But when people think about the south of France, when people think about rosé, of course, often the mind is concentrated on Provence. So before we do taste the LVE and talk specifically about this wine, perhaps you could tell us specifically what is it about Provence that makes it the world-class growing area for rosé wines?
But first of all, the rosé category in Provence is the main one compared to Languedoc, for example, which is the red category, which is the most important. So they've been working in the rosé for a very long time. Of course, they have the great terroir and great grapes to make rosé, and they did a great selection of the different terroirs we can see on the map. Because there is not only Côte de Provence appellation, you have different appellation in the Provence, and because you have different type of soil, different type of microclimate. So, I mean, they have,
Lisa, please.
they really are in advance in terms of parcel selection and in terms of expression of the grape to make rosé. So this is the map of the Provence area. As you can see, you do not have only the Côte de Provence appellation. You have quite a few appellations. So the Côte de Provence is the main one, but you do have the Coteaux-Varois on the north. You have the Coteaux d'Aix en Provence on the west. And then if you go south, you have Cassis, Bandol, which are a bit more around the red category, but they do some rosé as well. And within the Provence appellation, they did some terroir selection. For example, Pierrefeu. Pierrefeu is a small area in the southern part of Côte de Provence, where you have a specific type of soil, which has a lot of slates, which give very unique typicity to the rosé. And then you have another one, which is maybe the best area to make rosé in Provence, is the Sainte-Victoire area, close to the Aix-en-Provence town. Yes, perfect. Sainte-Victoire is a great place because you have this very, very nice mountain called Sainte-Victoire, which is a pure crystalline formation. And alongside this nice mountain, you have beautiful terroir with limestones, you have gravels, and it's perfect to make rosé. And you have a bit of altitude, so you have more freshness as well. In terms of maturity, in Sainte-Victoire, you have maybe 1 week or 2 weeks later compared to the Côte de Provence classical area.
Can you show us the photo of Sainte-Victoire, Lisa, please? So this is the wonderful growing area.
Exactly.
Hinterland that Laurent was telling us about. And if we look at the next one, actually, it's an interesting mountain itself. Anecdotally, the famous French artist Paul Cézanne, here you can see, he actually painted this mountain, which he called his mountain, more than 60 times within a 4-year period in the early 1900s. So it's a very, very famous, from an artistic point of view, very famous place.
When you go there, I mean, it's very peaceful, and you can feel that you're gonna make a great wine there. I mean, it's no doubt. It's really perfect.
Which leads us to LVE, which is from that specific region, right, Laurent?
Exactly. LVE is a specific project, specific wine we've crafted for Jean-Charles and for John Legend. So the idea was to, of course, to craft a rosé from the best area in Provence. So I've selected different bases, different expression from that area, and I've sent some samples to California, where Jean-Charles and John they exchanged, they tasted the different blends I sent to them, and we finally got to this blend, which is for me very typical from this region, with of course a very delicate, pure color, and with lots of complexity in the nose, with some flowers. You have some, of course, some spices. You have some fruit as well, of course.
And any specific differences in terms of the winemaking or aging of any of them components, bringing something special to the wine too?
Yes, it's a typical blend Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault. But the Syrah, what we've done what we call Burg Maceration. That means that the juice, when the juice come out the press, we will cool this juice and we will keep it for, a few days. steering the burb, because all the aromas, the flavor, and the texture are in those burbs. So the idea is to have this contact for a few days to get those texture and those aromas from the burb. And after a few days, we take the clear juice and we start the fermentation. So that was the specificity for this wine. And then we did the blend of Grenache, Shiraz, and Cinsault from that area to have the most refined and complex, and to keep really the finesse of this appellation.
Wonderful, and I know that is such a fantastic wine. Just to touch a little bit on pricing for our friends watching, so we covered the Grenache IGP, which was around $10 or $11. Digression in a splendid packaging, the unique, iconic square bottle with the flamingo is only $19.99, so less than $20 for that really small production, limited edition bottle at only $20. The Fortant Marinière Languedoc Rosé, again, outstanding value for what is really a really superior quality of rosé from the Languedoc for $15. And then the LVE Legend Vineyard Exclusive, which is a really premium quality Rosé de Provence, Côte de Provence, as Laurent said, at $24.99, $25. So really fantastic values for all of you at all different levels, depending on your mood, time of day, your budget. And my next question, which is a question from our good friend Marta in California. I think you met her this year, Laurent. Would like just you to touch on a little bit of the food matching. What do people in the Mediterranean area match the different rosés with?
You can have them by itself. That's of course, and then you can match those rosé with light food. I mean, any kind of light food. Of course, you won't have a rosé with a blanquette de veau. I mean, of course, or bœuf bourguignon, of course. But I mean, you can go with salad. You can go with some tapas. You can go with ratatouille. I mean, typical sort of tapas and food from the south. But light food would be the easiest way. Even light cheese, it's perfect as well. I mean, no problem.
Terrific. Well, Laurent, we're just about to the end of our allotted time, and I don't see any more questions coming in. If anybody out there does have anything specific to ask Laurent, speak now or forever hold your peace. Do think of something else in the meantime, please do drop us an email and we'll be more than happy to come back to you. So Laurent, I know it's very late in France to be drinking rosé, but if you are working this late,
rosé all day, you know.
Well, it's always such fun to taste with you, Laurent. We love your enthusiasm, your passion.
Thank you. Thanks.
Your eloquence, and most of all, we love your wines. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay well, and we all
you too.
look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thank you, Laurent.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. Take care. Have a great weekend, everybody.